You'd never know there was a house at the end of the Holloway Trail unless someone told you about it. And no one had in years, until Avery heard about it from a man at the dive bar near the train station. He was drunk, but dead serious. "Don't go there on Halloween," the man warned. "That house remembers you." Avery laughed it off as anyone would, but something about the way the man's eyes darted, like he was remembering something he wished he could forget, stuck in Avery's mind. And as someone whose life had recently fallen apart, his divorce had just finalized and he hadn't spoken to his daughter in weeks, Avery figured he had nothing to lose by seeing if the house was real. It was. The place was barely a structure, roof half collapsed, the windows blind with grime, nature reclaiming every board. Still, it stood. As he pushed open the warped door, he was immediately struck by the cold, the kind that clings to your bones. And then he heard something he couldn't explain. Laughter. A child's laughter. He froze. It was unmistakable. It was his daughter's laugh. He stepped inside. The house was a mausoleum of forgotten memories. Toys from another era. A cracked portrait above the fireplace showing a family of 4, though the faces had been clawed out, as if by someone in a frenzy. The laughter came again, clearer now, from deeper inside. He followed it to a room at the end of the hall. Its door was closed, but a faint orange light flickered from beneath it. He opened the door. Inside, the walls were lined entirely with mirrors, tall, antique, and cracked, dozens of them facing inward. The center of the room was bare. No lights, no child, only mirrors. But the laughter was inside the mirrors now, coming from them, surrounding him. And then he saw them, reflections that weren't his. Each mirror showed a different version of him. One smiling unnaturally wide, one crying blood, one with rope burns around the neck. Some were just empty, save for something standing behind him, tall and faceless. He turned, nothing there. But in the mirror, the thing was closer. He backed away, heart racing, pulse in his ears. Every mirror now whispered his name. Avery, Avery, Avery. Then the whispers stopped. All but one mirror remained unchanged, the one directly in front of him. And in it, he saw himself as he truly was. Only, something was wrong. His reflection raised its hand, slowly, as if trying to reach through the glass. And then it smiled. Not his smile, something else, hungry, triumphant. Before he could move, the reflection grabbed him. Through the mirror, there was no time to scream. The world inverted. Avery's body was found 3 days later, hollow-eyed and sitting peacefully in the middle of the mirror room, staring at nothing. The cause of death was never determined, but sometimes hikers say if you look into the mirrors on Halloween night, you can still see him, trying to get out. The Watcher in the Mirror. It was just a local urban legend now. A man named Avery had gone missing in the Holloway house, found days later sitting catatonic in a room of mirrors. Some said he'd been cursed. Others claimed he'd gone mad after the death of his daughter. Either way, the Holloway house was sealed off, condemned, and forgotten. Except by Isla. She wasn't just any thrill seeker. Isla was a doctoral student in folklore and anomalous psychology, and the Holloway house had become her thesis project. She'd read the police report, studied the maps, and most disturbingly, she'd found something they hadn't, a video. It had been buried in the dark web, labeled only with a string of numbers. Grainy footage, less than 30 seconds long. A man, presumably Avery, sits in a mirrored room, whispering something unintelligible. Behind him, something flickers in the glass. He doesn't notice. But as the video ends, he looks directly into the camera and smiles. Isla didn't believe in the supernatural. Not really. But something about the smile stayed with her. So on October 31st, Halloween night, she broke into the Holloway house with 2 GoPros, a portable thermal scanner, and a body cam. At first, it was exactly what she expected. Decay, rot, stillness. The place reeked of damp wood and old smoke, the kind of smell that clings to your lungs. Her scanner picked up nothing. No EMF spikes, no heat signatures, just silence. Then she found the mirror room. The mirrors had all been shattered since the Avery incident, likely by vandals or city workers. Only one remained fully intact, a tall, freestanding one in the center, untouched, polished, clean, as if waiting. She checked the camera. It was rolling. "I'm entering the mirror room," she said into the mic. "Time, 10:31 p.m. She stepped inside. Every hair on her body stood up. The mirror was humming, not audibly, but in that way you feel, in your teeth and spine. Static, wrongness. And then she saw her reflection, not moving. Her real body shifted slightly, adjusting her footing. Her reflection did not. It stood still. And then slowly, it began to smile. Isla blinked. "This is impossible," she whispered, backing away. The mirror followed. It didn't move, but the world seemed to tilt around it, keeping it centered in her view no matter where she turned. And then it showed her something else. Behind her, the silhouette of a man. She turned. Nothing. She turned back. The man was in the reflection now, closer. His eyes were gouged out. His mouth stretched too wide. "Avery." He raised his hand to the glass and began to write in the condensation. "She is here." Isla stumbled backward, heart slamming. Then, something whispered her name from inside the mirror. She ran. Barreled through the house, down the hall, out into the woods, breath ragged, not stopping until she collapsed on the forest floor. When the police found her the next morning, she was screaming into a broken GoPro, her eyes bloodshot, her face covered in scratches from her own fingernails. She was institutionalized. She doesn't speak anymore, except on Halloween. Every year, at exactly 10:31 p.m., she sits up in her cot, stares into the hospital mirror, and whispers one word, "Avery." Then she begins to smile. The 13th Pane. Some said the mirror was destroyed after the Isla incident. Others claimed the house was burned to the ground. They were wrong on both counts, because the mirror isn't tied to the house. It's tied to the idea of reflection. New York City, present day. Theo Marshall had never heard of Holloway House. He was a systems engineer, not a ghost hunter. He didn't believe in haunted places or malevolent spirits, just bad lighting and electromagnetic interference. But his brother, Shane, had believed. Right before he vanished in 2024, Shane had become obsessed with mirrors. He'd covered every reflective surface in his apartment, scribbled journals full of diagrams. At the end, he wrote one word, over and over, in frantic black ink. "They're not reflections, they're eyes." Everyone assumed he'd taken his own life. Until Theo found the encrypted drive. It contained dozens of files, audio logs, research notes, and video clips. But the most disturbing was a schematic, a layout of what Shane called the mirror system. 13 known panes scattered across the world, each connected. At the center was something labeled the 13th Pane. The only known video of it was grainy, degraded. A tall mirror inside what appeared to be an abandoned European train station. Its surface didn't reflect. It shimmered, like oil on water. Behind the shimmer, something moved, and Theo made a mistake. He tried to find it. Banska Bystrica, Slovakia. It took bribes, fake credentials, and the help of an urban explorer named Kaya. But Theo eventually stood before it, the 13th Pane. It was buried deep in a forgotten underground platform, sealed off since World War II. The mirror stood between two rusted columns, untouched by time, the air thick and unnatural around it. Kaya turned on her flashlight, but the mirror didn't reflect them. Instead, it showed a long corridor, red walls, black floor, no end in sight, and in the far distance, movement. Theo raised his camera. "Are you seeing this?" Kaya didn't answer. When he turned to her, she was staring into the mirror, mouth slightly open, whispering something. He leaned closer and caught the words, "They see me now." Then her eyes rolled back and she fell forward, into the mirror. No splash, no sound. She simply vanished into it, like stepping through water. Theo screamed and reached in after her, but the surface had gone solid. And now it did reflect, only, not the world around him. The mirror showed him, alone in the station. But something was behind him. A tall, thin shadow in a long coat, featureless face, arms too long, fingers tapping lightly on the mirror from the inside. The tapping grew louder. Theo stepped back, but the reflection stayed. Then it smiled. A mouth opened where none should be, horizontal, stretching ear to ear, and it began pulling itself forward against the glass, like a man pushing out of a womb made of polished obsidian. Theo ran. He didn't stop running until he collapsed on the surface. 3 weeks later, Theo was found wandering the train tracks outside the city, incoherent, his mouth sewn shut by his own hands. Under his fingernails were tiny slivers of mirror. He never spoke again, but when doctors removed the stitches months later, they found a single phrase etched inside his cheeks, cut in mirror shard scars. They are through. Now, people report seeing things in reflections. Not every time, just when they're alone. Just long enough to wonder, is that still me? And when they blink, it's gone. But not really, because the mirrors are everywhere now. And the 13th pane, A was only the first to open.